Well, welcome to another episode of Talking Greenwood with Mayor B. Y'all may recognize the folks I'm sitting here with. I got Chris Liner, new head football coach at Greenwood High, and Tad DeBose, new head football coach at Emerald High School. And thought, now that the Super Bowl's over and games, at least in NFL, college, high school, are all over. I think we got the XFL out there right now.
Right.
But we need something to tide us over until next season. Something for the fans to be tided over with, because these guys live and sleep football, even January, February, March, April, etc. I think it's probably 365. Am I right?
Yes.
But excited about the future of football here in Greenwood. We got a lot of great, rich football history, so just kind of wanted to catch up with these guys and get to know them a little bit better. So maybe Tad, we'll start with you. Tell me where you're from and your background, how you got to Greenwood.
Well, I've been in coaching now for 28 years.
You started when you were like 6?
No, well, no. I'm a little bit older than I look sometimes. I actually started my coaching career at Cameron Falls High School, and I worked there for 11 years, and then I was blessed enough to be hired at Abbeville by Jamie Nichols, and I've been there for the last 16 years or so.
Wow.
And been blessed to be a part of a lot of great teams and part of that great program, and now I'm the head coach at Emerald, and excited to be there and
Awesome.
ready to roll.
What was your at Abbeville? Were you offense, defense?
I was defensive coordinator.
Gotcha. And man, I tell you, you learned from the best over there.
Coach Nichols is everybody that knows him knows he's a special person.
Man, that program was rocking and rolling.
Well, it starts over there at the age of 7.
Yeah.
And, it goes all the way down into the youth program, and once again, it is a total program. And trying to build that here will be what we're trying to do.
Sure. Well, that's exciting. You got your staff complete?
Pretty much, still putting a few dominoes in certain places when other dominoes fall. But hopefully by the end of the week or the beginning of next week, we can have everybody in place and go into the learning process and everybody getting to where we all speak the same language, and then we can transfer it and get it to our kids and get ready for spring practice. But right now, just conditioning in the weight room, trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. And just pleased with the effort that we got from the young people in Emerald. I mean, they have brought me in just like family and really worked hard the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited.
Sure. Did you ever get a chance to know Coach Hill, Frank Hill?
I knew Coach Hill.
Yeah.
What a special man. I mean,
He sure was.
He was. He was a good coach, but he was a better person. Anybody that knows him, he was a good Christian guy, and he was an Emerald man.
There's no doubt about that.
And going down to the North-South game, that's one thing every year you'd always go down there, and since he's been retired, he would always be one of the ushers there in the North-South game this past year. He was missing something because Coach Hill wasn't there passing out the rosters and loving up on the coaches and telling you how good the kids were, and but Coach Hill was a very special man.
Gotcha. Well, Chris, tell me about you. How'd you get in this position?
Not much different than Coach DeBose. It's a similar journey. I haven't ventured very far. I graduated Greenwood High in 1989. Lived here my whole life except for the last 6 years, and the time that I was at Clemson. So I was fortunate when I graduated from Clemson. Coach Dooley had an opening. It was his first year as the head coach at Greenwood High, and he was able to hire me. At the time, I was the only Greenwood kid on staff, so it was kind of unique to kind of be the sounding board a little bit, with the community vibe and that type stuff. And having grown up here, and most of the guys I grew up with, everybody's family worked at the mill, and it was kind of just a unique situation. And I stayed there for 11 years. I was offensive coordinator at Greenwood. Was blessed to have a lot of really, really, really good players. And was around a lot of really good coaches. I think that's the biggest thing. not only Coach Dula, but Gene Cathcart, Lee Sawyer. I could go on and on and on and on. The guys that I was able to work with and that were very big mentors of mine. And then left there and went to 96. Was out there for 6 years as the head coach. Got to play against Abbeville every year, which was always a blast. And and we played Emerald every year as well at 96. So didn't move far, and then from there we moved over to my wife's hometown, which is Lawrence. Been there the last 6 years, and was able to do a few things over there that hadn't been done in a while. We won a couple of region championships, and was able to beat Greenwood 3 times, which I know that's deep down it always kind of bothered me a little bit. Not for those kids at Lawrence, I was very proud of them, but if you played football in Greenwood, those guys know just how much that means. Just like Abbeville, I know Dad was an Abbeville grad. It means a little something different. This is not just a job to me. I think the biggest thing is when we were interviewing, and I didn't even know Coach Bowes was interviewing, to be honest with you. They kept all of it pretty tight-lipped, and which was good. Then you typically can, not forced into the popular vote. You can pick who you feel like fits best at the schools. But biggest thing for me, and I told them that, I said, you're not just hiring a head football coach at Greenwood High. I think this job is a lot more than that.
We got a lot of pride in a lot of things around here, whether it's Main Street or manufacturing, and certainly football. Tell me a little bit about your family. Tad, you got kids?
Well, my wife is Kimberly DuBose. She is a 5th grade teacher at Westwood Elementary School in Abbeville.
Okay.
My daughter Grace Ann is a senior at Abbeville this year, and my son Doobie, Alex DuBose, who played for me at Abbeville. We were blessed enough we won a state championship together his senior year. He's a senior at Newberry College. He played football there.
Wow.
And he'll be graduating in May, and he'll be going into teaching and coaching.
Wow. Well, I know you're proud.
I am very proud of my family. I really am.
That's great. And where you said you grew up? Where?
I grew up in Abbeville.
Abbeville. Gotcha. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, this will be 20 years. Married to Buchanan. She's from Lawrence. Didn't know her. We both went to Clemson, but didn't know her. She was a teacher at Greenwood High for 20 years. And when I left and went to 96, she actually stayed at Greenwood High. And then obviously when we got the job at Lawrence, she went with us. And I've got a son that's 16 years old. He also plays football. He'll be coming over here with me next year. Way better than his daddy.
How's he? Is he?
He's top 5 in his class. He's good football player, but good kid. And then I've got a daughter who's maybe better than all of us. She's in 8th grade, also extraordinarily smart, plays soccer and volleyball. She's very gifted in just a lot of different ways. But we got a really close, tight-knit family. And you asked me earlier, I got a lot of extended family that are actually coming back here to coach with us. So right now, at least 5 former Greenwood players are going to be on staff next year. Actually more than that, about 7. So that's exciting to me because they're some of the finest people that's ever walked those halls, and they care just as much as we do about getting this place in a positive light. So
Sure.
It's exciting.
Pride thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, what would you say your expectations are for next year, Coach?
Question right now.
I'm going to leave it open-ended because
Well,
it may not all be in wins and losses.
No, it's not in wins and losses. We're trying to. Emerald's had a pretty rough last couple of years on a competitive standpoint. We're trying to build a culture of doing things the right way and holding young people accountable. Understanding that hard work pays off, and throughout those simple little building blocks that we'll use, the expectations we have for the young people is just to buy in, do everything you can to be a good teammate and a good person. Once again, we're talking about the pride of Greenwood, and the better people that we can put out coming out of our high schools by teaching them to be accountable, respectable young people, the better off this community is going to be. So expectation-wise, we're trying to grow young people into better, responsible, dependable people. And so expectation, yeah, we want to go out on the field, we're going to compete. Wins and losses, that's going to take care of itself. So I know at Abbeville, I have to go back to my experience there. Very seldom did you hear any coach preach about winning. We just talk about doing things the right way and doing it the best way you can, and the byproduct of that is winning.
Sure.
So, as far as W's and L's, let's work on cleaning ourselves up and being the best version of us, and then winning on the scoreboard will take care of itself. And that's kind of my expectation.
Gotcha. This is a long play. I got you. What you think for next year? State championship?
I don't know that I could have said that any better than what he just said. I mean, very similar. That's kind of how we run our program. I think we live in an era of selfishness that's not just tolerated, but it's almost encouraged in a lot of just different, and it's about every facet of life, whether it be, you rarely hear people talk about wanting to be part of a team. They just care more about their individual goals and statistics and how much money you make and all that bling stuff that makes you look, whatever. But that's not how you win high school football games. That's not how you win in life. And I think that's our biggest thing is just to, that Greenwood has plenty of talent and they've been good for most of the history of the school. Even the last few years, people want to, not Coach Pippen, and they have that. They can have whatever opinion they want, but it's not an X's and O's deals. That man knew what he was doing as far as X's and O's and that type of thing. The biggest thing I see is just getting them to learn how to grow together as a team. You got so many voices now, especially with the absence of Dad. You got so many handlers and so many people that are wanting or may have great intentions, but they don't understand that they're actually a detriment to what you're trying to build, because then they don't know. If you got 5 voices in your ear, you don't know who to listen to. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is just, I'm the head football coach at Greenwood High. This is what we do. And I really believe with the people that we have coming as a support staff that our goal every year on paper will be to win the state championship every year. That will never change. But when you do the things like Coach DeBow said, you don't have to even publicly state that. You don't have to put that in writing. You don't have to talk about it, because it just happens when you do all the other things that matter.
Yeah, and kind of on that point, you talk about, influences. I mean, y'all almost kind of like father figures to some of these kids, then that's going to last with them their whole lives. I think we know about some of the great players that have come out. Tell me a couple of the best players you've ever coached, Coach Moses.
Wow. You put me on the spot.
I'm making you go first.
This is kind of in Abbeville, it's kind of an ongoing thing they do on social media. They'll every once in a while former players put out, hey, who's the top 5, and then it starts a storm of conversation on social media.
Yeah.
But, to single out one individual, as we move forward and you look at kids on a high school level, somebody might have a tremendous high school career and might not pan out for them, at the next level. And because there's a lot of different factors that go on with them playing in college. Sometimes people will say, well, he was a great college player and he might not have been the best player on the high school team. So
yeah.
That's a tricky question.
Yeah, we're going to throw
He's got a career in
all
politics.
softballs.
I'm telling you right now, it'd be hard for me to throw a few names out there, because I'm telling you, in my coaching career, I've been blessed to coach a lot of great young men. And
How about Casey Stone? Did you get to coach Casey?
I didn't coach Casey. I was at Calhoun Falls at the time, but I've known Casey his whole life. Casey's
I'll just give a little shout out to him.
he's a
Buddy
little
Casey Stone.
He's a little spark plug.
Yeah.
And, in terms of running, he's one of the fastest people.
There's no doubt about that.
That you can definitely. But as far as a competitor, oh my goodness, don't step on the tennis court with him either.
You know his daughter.
Well, yeah, she's coming.
She is
Yes.
a miniature Casey. I
Correct.
played tennis with Casey growing up. Casey wouldn't play for 10 months out of the year. We were all out there all year long.
Yeah.
He'd show up, hit a few balls, and
He's a bat boy.
couldn't get anything past
No.
him, you know.
And once again, he is an ultimate competitor.
That's right.
You know, he competes with the heart of a champion.
He does, yep.
And he's going to give it all. And, you know, whether he's cutting his grass or going fishing or teaching his daughter the game, he approaches it that way. And
When I hit with him now, I said, I only want to hit with him because if I miss a shot, hey, good try, good. I said, man, I like this encouragement.
he's sitting there beating you down
Oh,
and
yeah.
picking
Oh,
you up
yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
But
I couldn't say it. I'm gonna plead the fifth right there. I'm pulling out.
Coach, you gonna plead the fifth?
Nah, I'm not politically correct at all. So, best player of Coach Armani Edwards, not even close. And as a head coach, I feel the exact way Coach DeBose is because I can't really. It would be hard for me to choose. We had a really good player this past year, Dwayne Martin, who's going to Louisville, and I could go on and on and on and on and on. And they've had so many good players that I don't know that you could list them all. And we've been fortunate in that way too. I mean, I was at Greenwood when Kelsey Quarles, Sam Montgomery, DJ Swearinger, Josh Norman, all those guys came through, and I could go back to even the beginning of when we got there, and even at 96 had some really good players at times. So I don't think as the head coach that would be very difficult to decide. As a position coach, and I've coached quarterbacks for a long time now, he's by far the best at that position I've had, and I've had some really good quarterbacks, but he was extraordinarily gifted, and you know, ended up playing for the Panthers for several years, and he's still playing somewhere in the CFL.
I was going to ask you.
Saskatchewan, one of those.
Yeah.
Up in the CFL.
Yeah.
Toronto. That's it.
And
Toronto. That's
man,
it.
legendary college
Yeah,
career
no
at
doubt.
App State
No
too.
doubt.
That's one of those moments that you know, going in the big house,
Oh, yeah.
beating top 5 team as a 2A, 1AA team. That's just amazing. Well, I tell you, I'm a fan of both. I grew up when I went to Emerald Junior High. Ended up playing sports at Greenwood High while I was at Emerald Junior High, and then they created Emerald High School, and so I went to Emerald 7th, 8th, 9th, and then 10th, 11th, 12th. And I was the second class at Emerald, so I'm a fan of both. And I was there in '98 when Emerald won the state championship. Was there in 2012 last year. Greenwood High won the state championship. So I'm a fan of both. And I think y'all both have great facilities to work with, great athletic directors and staff to work with. So I'm excited and look forward to what y'all bring to the table here next, I want to say next year, but the next decade, hopefully here. So I think we may go take a little tour of one or both of the boxes and show y'all some of the best views in Greenwood. Before I stop, I'm reading. Y'all excited about Erskine playing at Greenwood High?
We are, and I think that's something that partnership could maybe benefit. And I don't know how the money's going to flow. I don't know where it's going, but you know, I know Gaffney benefits very, very much so from Limestone using their facility, and there's several partnerships like that. Spartanburg High with Walford for years.
That's what. So I didn't realize that. Somebody told me.
Yeah,
that.
and so I think that maybe there's some things that really need to happen. Kind of on the inside of the building. The outside is as good as anywhere, but there's some things that the field house. There's some things that really need to be revitalized, and I'm hoping maybe that a partnership with them, because it will benefit Erskine as well, will maybe allow us to fund those things in a less stressful way.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's
that would be a really good deal for Greenwood, for Emerald, for everybody.
Well, Erskine, they're undefeated in football since what, 1953?
That's right. They see it on t-shirts all the
Yeah.
time.
So, well, anyway, gentlemen,
Thank you, man.
appreciate y'all stopping in early this morning at Fat Daddy's. And obviously we're sponsored by Millhouse, but we're here at Chris Reeder's Fat Daddy's in the Hampton Plaza here. Hopefully this food hasn't got too cold. We'll eat it here in just a minute. But